back, defenders. Ukraine has successfully struck another Russian oil refinery. Ukraine hits key military fuel supplier 1,400 kilometers inside Russia for the third time in a month. Drones hit the Bashneft UNPZ facility in Ufa early this morning, igniting fires at a crude oil processing unit that supplies fuel to the Russian military. This is where this refinery is located. This is Bashkortostan. This is the Bashneft refinery. And this is really the only picture we have showing the refinery on fire. This is a very remote area of Russia. And this is why the Russian government doesn't want civilians taking pictures and videos of refinery fires, because people more clever than me can look at this picture, then compare it to the satellite images, and they know exactly which part of the facility was on fire. It was determined that the AVT-5 crude oil unit was damaged, meaning this facility is offline. It's going to take the Russians months to fix it. So let's go to the war map, and this is the Bashneft refinery in Bashkortostan, about 1,300 kilometers from the border. It produces 7.1 million tons of refined products per year, and it's now offline. So here are the results. This is what we get to see every single day on social media. This is occupied Crimea, specifically Yalta, and you can see the fuel lines, cars lining up for kilometers, hoping to get their gas rations. Currently in Crimea, cars are being limited to 20 liters per visit. This is occupied Donetsk, and I can show you what this fuel line looks like. This one is stretching for about a kilometer or more, and this is the gas station. And when we zoom in on the fuel board, I don't know which one this is, but it's saying 98 rubles per liter, which has Russians very upset. This is record high gasoline prices by nothing they've ever seen or experienced before. Putin can't hide this. Putin finally admits Ukraine is striking Russia's refineries, but claims it won't help. For the last 2.5 months, the Russians have actually been saying that every single drone and missile that Ukraine fires into Russia was successfully shot down, but it's just falling debris, causing fires at these refineries. That is absurd. Not even Putin could defend that propaganda lie anymore, so now they're just saying it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many refineries Ukraine destroys. Russia is somehow still going to prevail, which is nonsense. They're going to run out of fuel this winter. So Ukraine has to keep up the pressure, but Russia is honestly hurting themselves a lot these days. I covered this story last week. This was a train derailment in the Leningrad Oblast, and it turns out Ukraine had nothing to do with this. The Russians were lying. So this was a diesel-electric locomotive that fell over on the side of the track. The crash occurred the same day as the separate derailment, so this company lied. There was an internal investigation that found that the locomotive was traveling at 163 kilometers per hour, twice the permitted speed on this specific section of track. The top speed was only supposed to be 80 kilometers per hour, but this train was going double. The driver is said to have been ordered by his superiors to override safety features and greatly exceed the speed limits. After the crash, they falsely claimed to the media that sabotage was suspected to conceal their own culpability. They derailed their own train and then tried to blame it on Ukraine. That's hilarious. MiG-31 fighter jet crashed in western region during a landing. This was confirmed by the Russians, but the pilots were able to eject. But Russia just lost another aircraft, and once again, Ukraine had nothing to do with it. Russia loses another Alligator helicopter for reasons unrelated to enemy action. Pro-Kremlin military bloggers reported the loss of a $16 million helicopter and its two-man crew on Saturday morning. Once again, Ukraine didn't shoot it down. It's just all of Russia's industries, especially their aviation, is just failing. Lack of safety standards, lack of training, lack of proper maintenance. There's like a plane crash in Russia happening every 2 or 3 days. Russia is falling apart. And this is what we see on the front lines. I spend all day, every day on social media looking at these stupid clips of the Russian military being absurd. And I sometimes don't know what I should be sharing with you guys. Like, how dumb of a clip do you want to see? But I'll share this showing what the average state of a frontline Russian soldier currently looks like.
Бля, Евген, аккуратно.
Ты давай по кучкам
Yeah, this isn't very safe. These guys aren't even wearing helmets. Nothing more manly than two dudes on a tiny motorcycle, but the Russians are running out of tanks. They're running out of armored vehicles. This is just goofy, but this is how the Russians are getting around on the front lines. They're using donkeys, they're using horses, they're using miniature motorcycles. This is how Russia expects to win this war. Ukraine also did launch a coordinated strike on the city of Donetsk. This is occupied territory. And Ukraine specifically blew up a Sigma hypermarket. This is kind of like a Home Depot or Lowe's. This is the city of Donetsk. This was on the east side of the city. And normally I would be opposed to Ukraine targeting a civilian construction store, but the Russian military was obviously using this home repair store for military supplies because the Russians were dumb enough to film a video thanking supporters for donations and that donations for the Russian military were being collected at this hypermarket and then being picked up by individual units. This is a thank you video. So this is the intel that got out that the Russian military was using this hypermarkets for military supplies. So Ukraine blew it up. And this is, I don't know why, but this is a citizen of Donetsk doing donuts in the parking lots while the hypermarket is on fire. It's going to get weirder, guys. It's going to get weirder. Flamingo does combat trials as Ukraine inches towards wider use. The question we've had the last couple of weeks is, where are the flamingos? And the Russians are claiming they successfully shot down one on Russian territory. We don't have a location where this was, but based on this fallen debris, I would say yes, this is a Flamingo cruise missile. You can see the wing section right here, and I believe that's what this Russian is standing over. This is a giant cruise missile. And I think the Flamingo, it has strengths, distance, payload, cost, but the downside is I don't think this is stealthy at all. I think when this goes into Russian territory, it lights up really big on Russian radar. So I think for Flamingos to have success, Ukraine is going to have to launch like a dozen of them at a single target deep inside Russia if they want to guarantee they're going to hit that target. It's coming. Stay tuned, guys. This is going to be exciting once these things actually start landing in Russia. So that's what Ukraine is doing. Russia launches fresh mass assaults on Ukraine targeting their energy infrastructure. This was Russia's plan to win in 2022, 2023, 2024, and now it's their plan again to just try and blow up all of Ukraine's energy infrastructure. 2 nights ago, they launched 497 drones and missiles. Here's the flight path showing the drones and Kinzhals. These are ballistic missiles. This is, the Kinzhal is a hypersonic cruise missile, but yes, they also launched ballistic missiles. Russia destroys 60% of Ukraine's gas production weeks before winter heating system. The recent strikes are forcing Kyiv to spend 1.9 billion euros on emergency imports to heat millions of homes. So yes, what Russia does have an impact. They're destroying the gas reserves, and Ukraine is now forced to emergency purchase from Europe gas resupplies so that people have heating this winter. In addition, the Russians once again, I think now are going after the hydroelectric dams. They launched ballistic missiles at the Zaporizhia hydroelectric power plant. They did destroy the machine hall at the dam, but this is incredibly dangerous. If Russia brings down the dam, this would cause massive flooding, and I'm sure thousands of people would die downstream. Russia doesn't care. Thankfully, though, these dams are really tough, and this is something I've learned over the last 3.5 years. You're probably not going to blow up a dam with a missile. You really need to get explosives inside, underneath, to bring a dam down. These things are very strong. But no, we shouldn't be testing it. We shouldn't be tempting it. This is inappropriate for Russia to be blowing up hydroelectric power plants. Because if Russia is doing it, then Ukraine has to do it to Russia's hydroelectric power plants, which is another escalation from the Russians. I also want to mention this name and this face. This is little Makar. He was only 7 years old, and the Russians killed him by sending a Shahed drone into his family home. This is the video. I'll link it down below. It's heartbreaking. Just a tiny little house in Zaporizhia that the Russians deliberately targeted with a Shahed drone. Other family members were injured, but the little boy was killed. And then there's this. This is a high-rise apartment building in Kyiv, and the Russians slammed a drone into it. Thankfully, the building didn't collapse, and I don't know if there were any serious injuries. Nobody died. But this apartment building, friend of the channel, Johnny FD, used to live in this building. He's an American who vlogs and lives in the capital city of Kyiv. He's been on my channel twice. And he filmed this video that I'm going to share, showing him in front of his old apartment building that the Russians attempted to blow up.
Guys, I never thought I'd be making a video like this, but this is where I've been living for the last 1.5 years here in Kyiv, and my neighbors got blown up. Luckily, I'm safe. I actually moved to the other side of the city a few months ago, but I was literally living on the 9th floor of this building, like just on the other side. And I still have neighbors that I keep in touch with, and I have friends that live here, so I came to check up on them. But fucking Russia, guys. Look at this. Every loud sound people freak out about. It's like, this guy's shirt says it all, right? How crazy is this, guys?
The Russians are terrorists. This is simply just terrorism. Ukrainian air defenses are operating at 74% effectiveness. The good news is that 2 entire Patriot systems will be arriving very soon. These were allocated and pledged last year, I think by Germany and I think Norway, but Ukraine's air defenses should improve over the coming months. That's the good news. But poor weather has reduced air defense efficiency by up to 30%. This was revealed by Zelensky. Russia is strategically timing their attacks, waiting for heavy rain and fog, complicating aviation operations during strikes on energy infrastructure. I don't know what percent of these drones and missiles are being intercepted by helicopters and F-16s, but that is what the F-16s are being used for. They take off and then shoot down drones and missiles in the sky. So Russia has figured it out that if they launch their drones and missiles When it's raining or there's cloud cover over the country, the helicopters and the F-16s aren't as effective because they really do need a line of sight sometimes to bring down these drones safely. Russia is learning. This is concerning. We know what to do. Zelensky hints at response after Russian strikes plunge Kyiv into darkness. The overnight strikes left 5,800 buildings without electricity and 7,000 without water in the capital city as the temperatures start to decline. Ukraine gave their warnings, just go for it. This is total war. Ukraine must go after Russia's energy infrastructure. So they did. Last night they struck the Luch power plant in Belgorod. I can show you, a little bit, but I'll link these clips down below. And occasionally Belgorod is without power. Comparable to what Ukraine has done, the power goes out, you find alternative sources, you redirect. But Ukraine has to do this. They have to go after thermal power plants and potentially also hydroelectric power plants. That's concerning, but these are the rules that Russia is writing. It's not effective to fight this war with one hand behind your back when the enemy is doing something and you're not responding in kind. But we're going to see some crazy stuff over the next 6 months, guys. Russia is getting ugly. This is the price of global oil, ICE Brent crude, and it's more or less at a 4-year low. The entirety of this war being fought by Russia, I can show you, it's $62 a barrel. The Urals trades at a discount. Russia is selling their crude oil for under $50 a barrel now. This is a disaster. And this is reflecting in the Russian stock market. The Russian stock market has been dumping out, and it's basically now at a 3-year low. It needs to drop another 20% from where it is to get down to a 5-year low, back to where it was in 2022. But we see the indications, we see the slowdown. Russia's industrial titans furlough workers as its war economy stalls. From railways and automobiles to metals, coal, diamonds, and cement, some of Russia's biggest industrial companies are putting employees on furlough or cutting staff as the war economy slows. Semros, Russia's biggest cement maker, has moved to a 4-day week until the end of the year to preserve staff amid a sharp downturn in the construction industry and a rise in cement imports. This is a necessary anti-crisis measure. The goal is to keep all of our staff. The company has 13,000 employees and 18 plants across Russia. They're all failing. They're all operating at a loss. They're all going deeper and deeper in debt, taking orders from the Kremlin to continue producing. When there's no end in sight, Russia is no closer to winning this war and providing economic relief to their own people than they were at any point in the last 3.5 years. And I don't even think Putin cares anymore. The more people in Russia who are unemployed, the more people who will be desperate to sign a contract for the money. Russia blocks thousands from leaving as digital draft system takes full effect. So every Russian citizen has to have the official government app installed on their phone. Men of drafting age get their notifications online now. And as soon as a draft notification goes out to a Russian man, they're on a no-fly list. They're not allowed to leave the country. They can't use their passport to go to Georgia or Turkey or Thailand or wherever. This is a good thing, actually, because Russia was letting young men come and go. But with this new system, any Russian man of military age outside of the country, he now knows he can't return. If he returns, he might become trapped and then hunted down and press ganged into the military, which is what Russia's been doing for 3.5 years. Let's also cover this political news. Venezuelan opposition leader awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. This is Maria Corina Machado, and she democratically won the election in Venezuela last year. But Maduro is a dictator. He's ruling the country with brutality and by force. I think she still is in Venezuela, but she's currently in hiding. And I think this is a good choice for the Nobel Peace Prize. And for fun, let me share with you the ceremony. This was the announcement made by the Norwegian committee.
The Nobel Peace Prize for 2025 goes to a brave and committed champion of peace, to a woman who keeps the flame of democracy burning amidst a growing darkness. The Norwegian Nobel Committee has decided to award the Nobel Peace Prize for 2025 to Maria Corina Machado. She is receiving the Nobel Peace Prize for her tireless work promoting democratic rights for the people of Venezuela.
This is a good choice. We should be supporting and recognizing people risking their lives to promote democracy around the world. And if you want to know what is Maria's position on Ukraine, this is her statement from 2022. The regime says that Venezuela stands with Putin. False. We Venezuelans stand with the citizens of Ukraine. She's great. What kind of selfish, dumb a-hole would be upset about this choice? White House blasts Nobel Committee for not awarding Peace Prize to Trump. It's just so cartoonishly stupid, guys. Every day, everything he says and does is so incredibly stupid. And of course, this is an opportunity for the Russians. Putin praises Trump's real efforts towards peace and blasts the Nobel Committee for not giving the award to Trump. Trump takes the flattery bait. Trump thanks Putin after Nobel Prize flattery. This is just too easy to manipulate my president. The only thing he wants is money, awards, and ass-kissing. So Putin saw an opportunity. In a speech, he said Trump should have gotten the award, and Trump runs the social media like a giddy schoolboy and says, "Thank you, President Putin." Which is insane because at the moment, Trump says he is weighing the option of sending Tomahawk cruise missiles to Ukraine to be used against the Russians. Zelensky vows to only use Tomahawks against Russian military targets. This just isn't going to happen. Trump doesn't want to do anything to offend or upset the Russians because he wants to do business with them. He wants Russian oligarchs investing with his children, giving them bribes, buying his crypto coin. Trump is not even willing to put sanctions on Russia. So I don't believe for a second that this talk about Tomahawks is real. Now, Zelensky is leveraging this moment to try and divide Russian propagandists with MAGA propagandists. So Zelensky is playing it up, but I don't think for a second this is real. If Trump is not even willing to allow Congress to vote to sanction Russia, then no, I don't think he's going to give Zelensky Tomahawks to be used against Moscow. Trump is still Trump. Let's get to the good news for Ukraine. The Netherlands announces a $200 million important step on drone defense and joint production. Thank you so much, the Dutch. We always need more drones. The Netherlands also delivers a mine hunter ship to Ukraine. Ships are great. Thank you again to the Dutch. UK delivers hundreds of air defense missiles to Ukraine months ahead of schedule. Thank you so much, the fantastic people of the UK. Final clip I have for you. The Russians were attacking Odessa, and the Odessa Opera House had the performers and the audience go into the cellar, and then they continued their performance. Let me share a little bit of this with you. That's all for this update video. Continue supporting Ukraine. Russia will be defeated. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. If you found this video informative, give me a thumbs up. Best way to support the channel. Comments and questions, let me know down below. I love hearing from you guys. Till the next video, keep defending the truth. Keep defending
Enable.